Okay, so here we go with our week 4 webinar. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so our agenda for tonight is we do have some general class things. I just kind of go over those for each webinar. So I'll try to do those quickly since we've done them before. And then we'll go over the week 4 assignments for the week, and that will be it. So when will grades be posted? As you probably already know if you've seen one of these webinars before. I post the grades the Tuesday or after the week after the class ends. So as a reminder, the assignments for this week are due on Saturday at 11:59 p.m., so a little bit earlier. So then I'll be trying to post grades that Tuesday. It's usually not before noon, and typically not until probably at least 4 o'clock or later. But then oftentimes I take a little bit more time to wrap everything up and get the grades posted. So it could be Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, or sometime hopefully, obviously shortly after the class ends. But just be ready for that. If you do have something happen and you cannot, something unexpected, obviously an emergency occurs or whatever before that, Saturday deadline, then please feel free to contact me and I can kind of let you know how things are going. And if we have a little bit of extra time, you're welcome to do that. All grades are posted at the same time, so if one student isn't ready, everyone is kind of waiting for that one student to finish things up. So I don't say that to as a threat or anything. I just say that as keep that in mind because there are more than one of us in the class waiting for those grades. Discussion boards, try to do those earlier in the week. Although for this week of the class, we can probably just skip that because there isn't a discussion board for this week. I do have a website that has some, work samples and things like that, some other tips and tricks and things. So if you want to check that out, you're welcome to. Let's see. We're already actually in the last of the weekly meetings, so I won't go over that. Please be sure to check the rubrics as you're doing assignments for all the assignments, just to make sure you don't lose any points just because you missed something on the rubric. Okay, so this week is all about creating your e-portfolio and reflecting on the work you have done for this program, for this ADL program. So that's basically the week in a nutshell. Perhaps there are less class readings this week, less to absorb, but some great resources are listed under week 4 to help you with your portfolio and your concept map. So check it out. I'll go ahead and bring that up right now so I can just show you a few of those things. Okay, so here's an example of a concept map right here, just so you can kind of get an idea of what they look like. Okay, let's zoom in on this maybe a little bit, just kind of see how what this looks like. So you can see basically it's just an organization of concepts and how they relate. Some concepts may relate to other concepts, which may relate to other concepts in a variety of different ways. So you're just going to be thinking about your whole journey through the ADL program and all the different things that you've learned, all the different concepts that we've gone over, and organizing those things into a concept map, which will look something like this. It obviously could look a little bit different, but that's just an example, so you can see what it looks like. Right down here below this, there are some examples and links to those examples of some places where you can go create a concept map. Okay, and then when you're talking about your e-portfolio, moving on to that one next, some information on e-portfolios, and then some links to areas where you can create your e-portfolio. One of them that I've used in the past is Weebly. This is a good one. You can just design your e-portfolio as a website, essentially. I can show you an example of my website so you can get an idea. It's not made in Weebly. Mine is actually made in Google Sites, but I can show you what my site looks like. So maybe you can get an idea of how things can be organized. So I'll go there. Okay, so you can see this is my website here. I have it organized by the different classes that I teach or have taught. And then when you go to one of these classes like ADL 636, for instance, There's assignment examples, some tutorials, some webinars, some e-portfolio presentations that you can go check out. And it just organized by class, and then so we have a topic and then a subtopic there, or a page and a subpage you might look at it as. So just an example of how this is organized. It's fairly easy. I'm going to go ahead and get out of my what my site looks like when you go to it, and I'm going to show the creation part of the site, or sort of the creator tools, or whatever you want to call it here. And it's fairly easy to do. So you can see that, for instance, if I go over here to pages, I can add different pages. So I've clicked on pages, and you can see all of my main pages right here, which match the ones that are up here. And if you click on this right arrow there, for instance, I'll go back to ADL 636, you can see that I have different sub-pages for that section. And there's the sub-pages right there. And I can drag and drop these things to different areas. I can take these pages and I can drag and drop them to different areas. So you can see here that I have taught EDT 612 before in the past, and I have to go to the More button to be able to go there. So if I want that class to show up here right on this home page, I can just drag that up here towards the top is what I can do. And then when I get into a page, when I click on one of those pages to try to edit that page, then all I have to do is click on Insert, for instance, if I want to insert like a YouTube video, which I have embedded right here. Then I would just click down here on YouTube, and it would take me to adding a YouTube video. And then what it would do is it would just put it at the bottom of my page, and then I can click and drag these pages and move them around. If I wanted to add a little bit of text, I would just click on text box here, and then it would just add a box kind of like this one right here. And then I can click and drag, and I can make this box bigger or smaller. I can move it around. I can change the text. I can make it bold or underlined. Make it a hyperlink if I want to, do different things like that. So pretty easy to create a page like this nowadays. I even have different themes to choose from. So if I click on those themes, different themes will come up. You can see them right here. And just by a click, I can change the theme that I'm currently using. So pretty easy to use. And as I was just showing you just a couple of minutes ago, there are a list of websites that you can go to that will give you ways to present your e-portfolio. Some of them may require a subscription or something like that. So if you're not wanting to spend money, I would pick one of them that are free. I know Weebly is free. At least last time I used it was. Google Sites is free. So there are some free choices there that you could take advantage of, like I have with my Google Sites. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on. Okay, so our week 3 assignments. Assignment number 1 is going to be the concept map that I just mentioned on there, as we looked at the week 4 of our class website, and you're basically just doing a concept map that goes over your journey, your learning journey through the ADL program. I showed you an example of that concept map, and there are some tools for creating the concept map that we just discussed listed in week 4 of our class. So we've done a lot of this already. Then the second assignment is going to be your e-portfolio and presentation. So you're going to be creating an e-portfolio. You'll be picking some artifacts to present in your e-portfolio, so you want to pick some good ones there. It's going to be about an 8 to 10 minute presentation. If you are in an independent study, then we may, since there's only one of you in an independent study potentially, well, yeah, there is only one of you in an independent study. So unless we have a couple of independent studies going on at the same time, then you will not be in a class where we can really meet and present your e-portfolios to the rest of the class. So I'll have another way to go ahead and pre-record your presentations and then post those someplace, so that we do have other people that can view them, we can go ahead and take care of it that way. But you'll just be pre-recording the presentation if you're in an independent study, rather than presenting your e-portfolio to an entire class. You will be answering specific questions, okay, about your e-portfolio. And those questions are on our class website. They're right here. So you're going to be going over these questions right there. So you want to make sure you hit on those questions. Another thing to remember as you're doing your e-portfolio, if you're pre-recording your e-portfolio, it doesn't need to be perfect, as you can hear with and see with these webinars that I pre-record. Sometimes there are some mix-ups, or things don't go exactly perfectly. Maybe you stumble on your words a little bit or whatnot. As long as that doesn't happen too often, I'd say just keep on going through it, and don't get stuck in the trap of having to start over again and again and again. And if you are pre-recording your e-portfolio, perhaps because you're in an independent study, then if you have some video editing software, you can even edit some things as well if you want to take that time, if that makes it easier for you. But just keep in mind that it does not need to be perfect. It's okay if occasionally you make a little misstep as you're presenting or whatnot. Also, a couple of ways you can get rid of that real quickly. A couple of ways that you can pre-record an e-portfolio is through Screencast-O-Matic is one of them that I like to use, and there's one called Screencastify. I think Screencastify may only be a Google Chrome extension, so you might have to use Google Chrome with Screencastify. So if you're using something else like Safari or Firefox or one of those other browsers, then you might need to use Screencast-O-Matic or another one. I've used Screencast-O-Matic before. It does have a limitation of, I think, about 15 minutes, but since your presentation is only supposed to be 8 to 10 minutes, that should be okay. Okay, so here's Screencast-O-Matic as an example. And here's the URL right there. Let me move that out of the way for you, but there's a URL for screencast-o-matic.com. I believe you do need to create an account for the free account. There are some paid accounts that give you a couple of other additions to the free account, but I've used the free account, and it works just fine. And you just click there, start recording for free. And it does put a watermark, I think it's in the bottom left-hand corner, as if you're using the free account. But that's, I don't mind that at all. That's no big deal. Okay, and then our final assignment for week 4 is our assignment number 3. It's a self-reflection of learning using the ISTE skills template. There is a template, so you're going to want to make sure you use that. If you've met the standard in the template, you'll write yes, and you'll give a description of how you met the standard. And if you didn't meet the standard, you'll mark no, and you'll leave the explanation field blank because you didn't meet that standard. And then you're going to want to save a copy when you're done with that, and then go ahead and submit that for grading. If you go to week 4 of the class website, you'll see an example of what the template looks like right here. So you're going to be marking yes if you did meet that standard and providing an example. And if you didn't, you'll be putting a check mark next to no and then leaving that blank. And then you go ahead and download the template just by clicking on this link right here. And then, for instance, when I download the template, it says, do I want to just go ahead and open it with Microsoft Word? I can do that, or I can save the file if I want to save it. Once I go ahead and open it up, I'm going to want to, most likely, open it up, click on File, Save As, and then save it someplace where I'm going to be able to access it later and submit it to the class. And you're basically just going to be filling out, this is what the template will look like and you'll be filling out that template, saving it, and then submitting it to the class website. Okay, once I clicked on Open in Microsoft Word, this is what I see. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Enable Editing, and then I'm going to be able to hop in here and make changes to this template. So I can just click in here and I can go ahead and start to make changes here. I can say, if I wanted to, I can just say yes. Met is one way you can do that, or put a little check mark if you want to get fancy or something like that, and then just type in, I have met this by, and you're just going to edit that, and then when you're done, you're just going to say File, and in my case, I would probably say Save As, because I don't want to save the template, where it's downloaded from my computer, but I would say Save As, and then I would choose a place I want to save it where I'd be able to go find it again, and then I would submit it after I've filled it out and saved it. You will also notice down at the bottom here, don't forget about this one, there are a few questions that you need to ask. It says you've achieved the following standards, okay, which you list by the number and letter, and then which are up here, obviously, the ones that you mark yes, and then you'll say, I still need to achieve the following standards. You'll list those, the ones that you did not achieve. And then you'll want to notice here, right here where it says, this is my long-term plan for achieving all of the standards. And you're going to go ahead and put in there a long-term plan. And notice it does say it's a long-term plan. I'm not expecting a 5-paragraph, well, I'm not expecting, a lengthy essay on this. But I have seen in the past where people would just put, I'm going to, take some courses and get my master's, and then everything will be good. So they just put a sentence or two in there, and it's not as well thought out as it should be. So you want to put some thought into this and really convince me that you're going to be able to meet, achieve all those standards, at a future date with that long-term plan. Like I said, it doesn't need to be, really an in-depth, formal paper, but you do want to put some thought into it and talk about some ways that you're really going to be able to meet achieve all of those standards. One last thing that I wanted to point out is there is a week 4 webinar. We're watching it right here, but there is no reflection due for this webinar, so it'll just be for you to have some information, some hints on the assignments for this week, and that's it. So you don't have to worry about writing up a reflection for this webinar. And this last slide, this is one of those areas where I talked about on your e-portfolio, if you're recording it, if a little glitch happens, that's okay as long as it doesn't happen too often. This was a slide that I had left over from the week 3 webinar that I pre-recorded, and it's here, so I clicked on it just to see if we had any slides left over or if I'd missed anything, and it came up. So this would be one of those things where you could just kind of say, oh, that slide's not, we're not discussing that slide, and just kind of gloss over it and you'd be okay. And that's it for a week 4 webinar. Good luck. If you have any questions after watching this webinar, please feel free to contact me. You have my contact information, and I would be happy to assist. Thank you very much, and have a great week.